All right. Last subject. Caribbean people. We're all Caribbean people here. We have three people from the Caribbean's best island, and then we have a Haitian and a Luke and a Trinity.
I
Uh, I had to get that in
Watch
there.
your mouth when you come talk about the Haitians, Chris. Watch your mouth, boy.
All right. So this is something that we're in our WhatsApp group of chatting about, saying how I was eligible to become a citizen, many years before I actually did it. So after Bush won in 2000, I was eligible to become a citizen, but I wasn't. And so after Bush won, I was talking to my mother, and she was like, "Well, you're not going to move back to Jamaica anytime soon, and we don't know how things are going to change with Bush regarding immigration, and so your status as a permanent resident, green card holder, is not so sure. So if you plan on staying in this country, you want to at least go and get the citizenship." So at that time, I'm like, you know what? I felt like if I go and I swear my allegiance to the United States, that I'm turning my back on Jamaica, right? And that mattered to me because I can't even remember the swearing-in ceremony where I literally had my fingers crossed.
You were actually trying to remember that?
Don't say that too loud, Chris. They might come and get you and snatch it away, boy. Don't say it too loud.
So there's this. So I don't know what numbers are or what have you, but I believe there are a lot of Caribbean people because look, we as Caribbean people, we love our home countries. You have people. So when I'm just thinking to the swearing-in ceremony, there were some people there who were so excited to become United States citizens. I wasn't that. Because you have a lot of people who they have horrible memories from where they come from, and America opened up their arms to them. I don't have that experience. You know what I mean? So if I were in their condition, I could see becoming real excited to become an American citizen. But I wasn't that, so I was like, I'm living here, so I might as well do it. But I didn't have the experience that I didn't come from the same place that they came. So, so I think they're probably, and so when I posted that message on the WhatsApp, a few other people chimed in who had similar experiences where either them or their parents have lived there for a while, were eligible, but didn't do it for similar reasons. They didn't want to, quote unquote, turn their back on their Caribbean nation. So with that said, there's probably many hundreds of thousands or whatever Caribbean people here under similar circumstances who feel, I'm just living here, but I'm not really an American, so I'm not really good to get, participate in this process. So how do we get that point across to Caribbean people that to get politically active, engaged in this country in which you live and why it is important? Doc, kick it off with you. How do we get that message across to them?
You kind of hit me off guard.
You want me to come back to you?
I mean, no. Even though, the whole coronavirus kind of shut us down this year, over the past years, we've always had all type of, Caribbean related stuff. So in the midst of, us fellowshipping and coming together, I think that's an ideal time to continue, to reiterate that, it's important because you live here, you're benefiting from these things. And in order to improve your life, it's important that you get these things done so that, hopefully our lives can get a little bit better. So, hanging out at the park is not just all about fun and play, but, I think those venues are, good places to, encourage and reiterate, why it's important.
Yep. Sledge, I know you always got some shit to say.
Let me put my hat backwards for you. So I bring the gangster out. Listen, I feel like if you pay attention to their political campaigns and when they're hitting the campaign trail, what do they always hit? As far as the Caribbean community goes, they always end up in Little Haiti, in Miami, and they're going to New York. The Haitian community, for the most part, has been an active participant in in politics. That's why they specifically put that on their campaign trails to hit. As far as collectively,
They didn't come through in Florida. Get your people, man.
as far as
Go on.
collectively, I know. As far as collectively, when this is my first year voting. I know that comes to a surprise to a lot of people, because I have a very active voice
Seems
in
about
the
right.
community. But my story is interesting. I became a citizen not too long ago. For the longest, I was a green card holder and had no interest in becoming a citizen because I am such a patriotic Haitian man. Very proud of where I'm from. And even when I became a citizen officially, I was like, man, I know I had children here, and I had family that would benefit from me becoming a citizen. So it was almost reluctantly to do it.
Yep.
And even in the swearing in, hopefully this doesn't come back for me. Even in the swearing in, I'm like, in my gut, it was just bubbling. A lot of people walk out of there so happy and excited, like, oh, finally an American citizen. Whereas I was always educated. I always had a good job, that was afforded to me by America. So I was very thankful and grateful for that. So don't get it wrong, but the switch for me was that I realized that if I'm going to be living here, I had to be a good example as far as what a good civic person should be. How can I call myself a leader and telling people this is what they should do and how they should get engaged, within their community, and I myself was not living up to that? How can I tell my kids that you have to be good citizens within the society, and I myself did not take the means to make sure that I can participate to make their future a little better when I could have done something about it, So that was the switch for me. And I think a lot of people within our community, they have no interest because they feel like it doesn't directly affect them unless it's about immigration. That's the only time you hear Caribbean people raising, hell and wanting to say something about it when the N1 visa is about to expire and they're not going to renew it. Outside of that, we're pretty quiet. We just sit back. But I feel with the new age of us, because a lot of us are second generation, first generation. Some people, I know a lot of Caribbeans here, even especially the younger ones, were not born back home. They're products of their parents migrating here from the 70s and 80s, right? Even I'm one of 9 children. I'm the last person that was born in Haiti. Me and my sister, the rest of my siblings were born in America. So they, per se, if my parents didn't raise us in a Haitian household, and with that mindset, they would have no remnants of being Haitian. They would, because they're being raised here. I speak proper English now because my mother said that, you don't want them to discriminate against you. So you have to assimilate and speak proper English. Check your diction. But of course I speak the language fluently, read and write it, and speak French and Creole. But still, I had to assimilate to the American society because that's where I was now. So I have a very good understanding of what it will take to get the community to the next step. And yes, we do have to get engaged, and it's going to take people like you and I, Chris, and everybody else here, Doc, and and Simple, right? What's the special? Karima and Leslie,
we can't call them Simple.
To advance our community. And these conversations is very healthy because, not too long ago, we didn't have a platform that gave us the ability to dialogue with one another about this. Recently, we were able to galvanize people within the community to register them to vote. And so now you had youngsters within the community that we've seen grow, like Fire Kai, you know, that Fire Ty, you know, Miss Ellen's boy from Island Spice, voted for the first time as he turned, you know, 21 and was eligible to vote. You know, so it's just really important what it is that we're doing and to stay on the course. And I feel like in due time, we'll be able to galvanize and we'll have an active voice, you know, to where now politicians will make Houston Caribbean community one of their stomping grounds, because we are a collective unit moving together. So that's what I foresee.
Yep. Well said. Christmas, you want to say something on that, or anybody else?
Yeah, it's important that we get active and our voice be heard, because one thing about it with the citizenship and changing over, I mean, I've had family members that felt like, you know, they was selling their soul, selling their country away. But you, in order to be more involved, more active, and have more extended opportunities, you know, with certain things, especially if you want to get involved in politics or different offices in education or whatever, you know, sometimes it's important to make that jump. So it can be beneficial, but you always remember your roots, and you always are the wonderful organizations like Houston Caribbean Professionals Organizations and other, you know, organizations highlight, you know, your culture and so forth, and you keep culture alive. You pass that legacy down, regardless of where you're from. You spread it where you're at, and I'm
here now.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, the citizenship thing, you know, it's because I remember like after my swearing-in ceremony, I just, you know, I still felt like I turned my back on Jamaica. So I called my sister. I was talking to her, and she said that she felt this. She had done it years before, and she said, like, as soon as she left the swearing-in ceremony and she walked outside, what did she see? But that Air Jamaica plane fly right by, and she was like, "Oh, geez," you know. But you know, as kind of what we've all said. You get to that place where, you know, here you kind of living, you go to school, you're working, and your family is good, and I saw your whole perspective. But when you start thinking beyond that, start thinking about your kids, you start thinking about being a participant, participate in the system in which you live. You know, for example, being able to serve on juries. I believe they picked that from people who are registered voters, right? So I served on a jury for the first time, you know, a few years ago, you know, where, you know, we lock up that woman for stabbing her husband. But, you know, that was, you know, that was you? Sometimes. You know, where, you know, just something like that, being able to sit in a court case and listen to it from beginning to end and see the way that things are presented as a juror was an invaluable experience. And it's clear to see the flaws in the system and how important it is for us to put ourselves in that pool of people that they will call on to be jurors. You know, we can't complain about the criminal justice system or what have you, but if we're skipping out on jury duty and what have you, then we get what we get. So if we live here, I want to participate fully in this country. It's more than just working and making money. We have to be full participants in it. So Caribbean people, you know, if you're, you know, nobody can take that from you. You're going to be Caribbean. That's your culture. But you live here and you want to be an active participant in this country in which you live. Take that step, register to, you know, get on the path to become a citizen if you are eligible. It's very important for your future and for all of our future. So
it's very important for the community to know as well, is that we have resources for you. If you're not familiar with the process, or you're scared to step up and say, hey, I'm undocumented, because there's a real fear out there amongst us as well to participate because of the fear that, you know, they're looked too much into our families that are undocumented. We don't want ICE coming knocking at our door. So let's be very mindful about that issue as well. It's very real, and we're dealing with that. You know, I remember some years back, you know, not even too long ago, my sister, she was going for a government position to work overseas at the embassy, and they had to dig into the family. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, so we had to have a sit down. Hey, sis, do you really want to do this? You know what I mean? How bad do you want this post? You know, you don't want, you know, auntie in New York to be summoned, you know. So it's those kind of fears that we have, you know, and I like to share from a place of realness so that people know that we are like them, you know what I mean? But we were still able to find a way to be part of the system and be productive and make a difference, you know, and that's all you got to do. There's ways to do it, and we're here to support that.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and that is a very, very legitimate fear amongst a lot of our people, because, you know, I mean, we may be good, you know, legally, but we all know some people who ain't, you know, and you know that fear is legitimate. So, but it's important.